Welcome to Pearls for Parkinson's. Here is this week's daily living tip. This is our final episode on communication in Parkinson's disease, and today we're going to be talking about communicating thoughts in Parkinson's disease. Have you ever had problems with getting your thoughts into words? You know what you want to say, but just kind of can't spit it out, so to speak. Well, this can be part of the process with Parkinson's in what we call frontal lobe and executive function deficit. And what does that mean? Well, the frontal lobe of your brain is in charge of organizing your thoughts. It's also impulsiveness. It's your ability to sequence. And so with Parkinson's, that can have more of a deficit. And so the 3 tips that I'm going to give you today are exercises for your brain, for different areas of your brain that can help you to connect neural pathways to be able to improve your ability to get thoughts into words. So the 3 tips that I'm going to give you today are on reading, writing, and speaking. And you really need to practice and work on all 3 of these together regularly, daily, in order to improve your ability to get your thoughts into words. So let's start with reading. I want you to be reading 5 to 10 pages per day. So I'm just going to throw that out there right away. So if you're the type of person that maybe grabs a book and then after 2 pages you tend to fall asleep, you're really not exercising your brain enough. When you're reading, you are activating your visual cortex, which is back here. You're activating your temporal lobes and you're activating your frontal lobe. And all of these are increasing neural pathways in order to better increase your vocabulary as well as structure and organize thought in words and sentences. And so that's what you're doing when you're reading. So we want you to read 5 to 10 pages per day. Pick something you enjoy, whether it's history, biographies, nonfiction, but you really want to make it interesting as well. And so every time you read from other people's words, you are actually learning organized thoughts and structures. So very important. The second thing I want you to do is writing. And so now I know I did a whole podcast about the difficulties in writing with Parkinson's, but you can't give up. You can't stop writing because if you don't use it, you lose it. That's with any of these areas of the brain. So writing is very important. And I want you to write 1 page per day. So reading is 5 to 10 pages. Writing is 1 page per day. And you might say, well, what do I write about? I would strongly suggest that you journal. Journaling can be good for all of us. It can help us with our emotions. It can help us organize our thoughts. It's just a good way of kind of documenting our days as well and our feelings. So journaling is something that I would encourage you to do. Again, reading, if you're reading, you want to do it at a time of day when you're alert to read. Journaling, maybe you do it at the same time after you read. Maybe you do it at night before you go to bed at a different time. That's really your prerogative. You can write about things that happened in your day. Maybe you want to write about things that happened, years ago, or perhaps you want to write about things that you're planning for in the future. So those are some of the things that you can journal. The third thing is speaking. And this is something that if a person's having more problems getting their thoughts into words, they tend to be more socially isolated. They tend not to speak as often. They tend to listen more. And that's not what we want. Again, if you don't use it, you lose it. So we want you to practice speaking. I know that sounds strange, but what you're going to do is select a person, whether it's your spouse, a good friend, maybe it's your cat that's listening. But you're going to have a 5-minute purposeful conversation nonstop. So 5 minutes nonstop of purposeful conversation. And you might think, well, what do I talk about? You could talk about things in your journal. So maybe there's a set topic that you wrote about that's interesting, but you don't want to share all your journal feelings and entries, but it might be a topic that you're interested in. Another thing that you can do is I have these wonderful cards. They're called Talking Point. And this one is for couples. And then there is also talking point cards for family as well. My daughter uses these at the dinner table with her kids because they tend to not really bring up a lot of conversation, or if you ask how school went, it's kind of meh. So these are cards that can be used to kind of trigger more conversations. So out of this talking point couples box, one of them says, what's the best thing you learned from your mother? And you're going to talk for 5 minutes about the best thing you learned from your mother. This one says, what trip most affected your life so far? So you can elaborate more on a trip that you enjoyed and why. When you are speaking, you're moving your thoughts into articulation and you're making it more focused. And so you take those thoughts that might have been a little bit more scrambled and you have them better organized, and now you're able to give output. So what I want you to do again in summary is I want you to read for 5 to 10 pages. I want you to write for 1 page, and I want you to speak for 5 minutes fluently each day. And this practice can help you to exercise those brain areas that help you to get your thoughts into words better. I hope you enjoyed these tips and you tune in next week for more Pearls for Parkinson's.
The Wisconsin Parkinson Association is a grassroots organization funded by people like you. To support more local programming like this, visit wiparkinson.org.